Welcome everyone. Welcome to round 5 of tier 3. And it is a sprint race at Imola. And in the sprint race weekend, we do a reverse championship order start grid for the sprint race. And then the results of the sprint race determine the starting grid positions for the main race. The reverse championship order for the start, for the sprint, and then the sprint serves as a qualifying for the main race. And it looks like it is going to be a weight sprint race. So it's going to be crucial that these drivers have a weight setup ready to be applied to the car. And it's going to make passing even more interesting. We're not going to have DRS, which already at Imola is not so effective since there's only one single straight. So in the weight, maybe we'll see a few more overtaking opportunities open up. But it definitely looks like it's going to be quite an interesting sprint race. So for drivers like Alfie, JVR, Doctor Who, and Names Chef, it's going to be crucial that they are able to work their way through the field quickly and efficiently without getting any damage and without being involved in incidents, so that they can have the best starting position for the main race. And it's going to be important for drivers like Joshua Knott and Big Red Vigilante, who are starting on the front row, be able to hold on to their front row positions all the way to the end of the sprint race. And I do believe it's an 11 lap sprint. It was one of the longer sprint races because Imola is quite a short track. But I can't find that information right now. So far it's been utter domination by Alfie JVR. He's won every single race so far in tier 3. And he's taken pole every time except one. And that was last time out in Jeddah, where Timmy Gunn, I believe, took pole position for the first time this season. And since it's a sprint race, it will be very interesting to see if someone else will have a turn starting on pole position for the main race. So we have 12 drivers currently in the lobby. So a little bit more than what we've been having for the last couple of weeks. So very important that these drivers stay out of incidents and avoid getting into pile-ups. Looks like everyone is on intermediate tires for now as we draw close to the start of the formation lap. And we are about to start. And in the formation lap, Big Red Vigilante has already got the jump on Joshua Knott. Obviously that won't mean much in terms of actual track position, as we've got a very weird graphics glitch going on here. It looks like most people did not get off the line correctly because... oh, maybe they were actually fine. Okay, so names, Chef and Doctor Who jumped up some positions. So it's going to be very crucial that these drivers get to feel the conditions on this formation lap. Although it is at reduced speed, we'll notice that some of them are testing out the braking zones a bit, seeing how early do they have to brake, how much speed can they carry through these corners. And Imola is a very difficult track to get right in the weight. I've driven here before in qualifying in the weight, and it was one of the most difficult experiences that I've had thus far with this game. But it can be quite fun. But because of the chicanes, you have to be very careful that you don't go too deep in the one corner, because then that will set you up very tightly for the next part of the chicane. Anyway, that's enough yapping. We're about to get underway with our race. As we see, there's an Alpine out of line there. Green flag is in the waving at the back. To look to the red lights. Turning on 4, 5 red lights. Already had a couple of jump starts as away we go. It is a slow getaway for the pole sitter, as Names Jeff has jumped to the top, but he jumped the start. So he's been given a drive-through penalty already for that. Toxic Waste, as Peter84 has DNF'd from this... no, disqualified from this session. Joshua Knott falling like a stone through the pack. Megan going up the inside of the Ferrari there, stuck behind the Williams man. We look behind him to see what could be going on. Through into Tosa we go, the long hairpin. As we see Names Jeff up in front being challenged by Big Red Vigilante. And Toxic Waste is in 3rd place, Joshua Knott in 4th place. So I believe there were 3 drivers that jumped the start, Ohm and Peter84. Names Jeff also jumped the start, but he made full use of that jump start to jump up to the lead of the field. But obviously he does have a drive-through penalty, so let me bring that up right now with the penalties. There we go, drive-through penalty for Names Jeff. So his time at the front is very much limited, as we see Adam Buckingham going wide on the exit of the Variante Alta. Side-by-side action with Fossa and Doctor Who, but Fossa gets well ahead before there's a braking zone for Ravazzo 1, as we see an Alpine and a Williams off into the grass. Very tricky braking zone for Ravazzo 1. It is downhill, very easy to go deep, and deep they went, so deep that in fact they went into the grass. Names Jeff is serving his drive-through penalty. Alfie JVR, the championship leader, stuck down in 6th place, but he has made solid progress. He sees positions 4 and 5 directly in front of him, going side by side into turn 1. The Alpine and the Mercedes trading rubber with each other's tires, trading paint. Silver on blue, pink on silver. As we go into the second chicane, the Villeneuve chicane, as we see Fossa go wide, deep into the gravel goes Fossa. The Mercedes man is off wide at the Variante there's Gilles Villeneuve, or whatever it is called. It is the Villeneuve chicane, as I know it, but I believe in Italian it is called Variante Gilles Villeneuve, or something like that. The two Mercedes fighting with each other, side by side, into Piratella, fast left-hander. Down into Acquaminerali. Alfie JVR finds himself up in 5th, having jumped Dark Shadow Racing. Doctor Who's had a spin. Doctor Who in the wall. He's recovered well. But he is down in 9th place, still ahead of his teammate who had a drive-through penalty. Nameschief will be hoping that he can really wring the neck out of that Ferrari and catch back up to the back of this pack and climb up a few more positions. Big Red Vigilante sets the timing screens alight with a 1 minute 31.4, 2.8 seconds out in the lead. The McLaren man looking very, very strong for the win today. Toxic Waste, the Racing Bulls driver, in 2nd place. He finished 2nd last time out in Jeddah. It looks like he is set to do the same here in the sprint race, just ahead of Joshua Knott, who has done well to consolidate his 3rd position. He was dropping like a stone through the field just a few moments ago, but he has found his way back up to 3rd place. LVJVR, the championship leader, keeping his nose clean, up there in 5th place. So Forza, after going wide at the Villeneuve chicane, lost a position to his teammate Dark Shadow Racing, and Doctor Who had a spin. At least that's what I can surmise from the very little footage that I managed to capture of Doctor Who out of Acquaminerali, which is where we are heading to right now. Joshua Knott with a 3-second penalty for track limits. That's another important point, as we almost see Doctor Who spin the Ferrari once again out of Acquaminerali. Tricky traction zone. In fact, everything about this track is tricky, but I love it. It is one of the best circuits in my opinion, in terms of pure driving feel. So, track limits, the other talking point. This is Imola with a lot of chicanes. Being able to cut over the curbs and you exploit the track limits to the extremities is very important to your lap time. And I believe that was Timmy Gunn who had set a new fastest lap, so he is looking speedy, although that car does not look very settled, wanting to snap at any moment. Acquaminerali is another place where it is very easy to go over track limits, as you want to cut the inside curb as much as possible to straight line the exit. And then this next chicane, if I can get those words out correctly, the Variante Alta. You want to take it very fast, you have to jump over those curbs in a way that always puts you at risk of going over track limits. Big Red Vigilante responds with a 1 minute 29.1, extending his lead out at the front of the field to 4.5 seconds. Joshua Knott has fallen outside of DRS range of Toxic Waste. He is now 2 seconds down the road. Migan, though, is closing rapidly to the Haas driver. We'll hope to make a move before the end of the sprint race. We did have a momentary yellow flag, as I will bring up the track map. I just realized I forgot to bring all those up. There's so much chaos at the beginning that I completely forgot to change any of that. Toxic Waste has left the session. No, 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 we will not have that. Send him an invite very quickly. And that has saved Joshua Knott, because he's back within... No DOS, of course. It's wait. I forgot, there's absolutely no DOS. My bad. I should know better. But anyway. You have a bit of a fight going on in two different places, but I'll focus on this one with Joshua Knott and Toxic Waste. Toxic Waste is still under AI control, so he will be a bit slower. This is for a higher position, as we do see Doctor Who named Chef swapping positions into the Villeneuve chicane. Megan running a little bit wide on the exit of Piratella, going to Ackerman and Raleigh. One of my favorite corner sequences in the entire calendar. Feels like a roller coaster. The way you dive in for a double right-hander, ever tightening up. A very crucial exit. And Toxic Waste, I think, may have been able to take control of his car again because he's opened up that gap to a full second once again. Now, although there isn't DRS, there is slipstream. So if you can try and stay within a second of the car in front, that will help you defend against drivers behind, which Joshua Knott has been able to do on the exit of Rivazza 2. And we see Joshua Knott going wide, looking for the wetter parts of the track to try and cool those tyres down. But we do see Timmy Gunn diving up the inside, or he decides to try and back out of it, but does so by cutting across the curbing, which then gives him a 3-second penalty. He will be kicking himself for that. One saving grace is that Joshua Knott also has a 3-second penalty, but Darksetter Racing behind in 6th place does not have a 3-second penalty. And if Timmy Gunn cannot find a way past Joshua Knott to open up a gap, he will lose multiple positions here. Wide again, and almost spinning it off into the wall. Timmy Gunn is hanging on for dear life onto the reins of that Alpine. And he will have to be very, very cautious not to make a mistake here, because he has Alfie JVR on the Red Bull breathing down his neck right behind him, looking for an opportunity to pounce as Joshua Knott goes wide out in front, but holds his ground well. Timmy Gunn is struggling to find a way around him. He's looking left, he's looking right. Does he go for dive down the inside? No, he does not into Rivazza 1, but Joshua Knott, oh, he's been spooked. He's gone wide, he's sliding. Joshua Knott, this is an absolutely horrible sequence of corners for Joshua Knott, who finds himself wide time after time after time again. And he now finds himself tight to the wall on the inside, having to wave Timmy Gunn through, but will he fight back, under braking into the chicane? No, he does not. Also in the Mercedes with the fastest lap now, 1 minute 28.8. So currently this is the closest fight that we have. It's a 3-way fight for 3rd place, but Timmy Gunn and Joshua Knott have penalties for track limits. Joshua Knott just copped another 3-second penalty for track limits there, so he is now up to 6 seconds in terms of penalties. Now Timmy Gunn will be hoping that Joshua Knott will do the Sergio Perez Mexican Minister of Defense duty here and hold up Alfie JVR, so Timmy Gunn can open up a 3-second gap. But Timmy Gunn does have one obstacle in front of him, and that the name of that obstacle is Toxic Waste, who's only 1.3 seconds in front. It could potentially end up holding up Timmy Gunn. Alfie JVR, though, not looking the most comfortable in these conditions. Not quite as close to Joshua Knott as Timmy Gunn was able to be just a few laps ago. Joshua Knott, though, still going wide, dipping a tyre in the gravel on the exit. Oh! Bit of contact there, as Joshua Knott, I presume, had a slide in mid-corner and had to brake to try and catch the car. leading to Alpha JVR scraping the diffuser of Joshua Knott with his front wing. Side by side into the chicane. Does Alpha JVR go for the move? Yes, he does, but Joshua Knott's off into the grass. He slides, he almost spins, and he spins into the path of Dark Shadow Racing in the Mercedes, who has to go off in unison. Joshua Knott really struggling. He pulls off the track, lets Dark Shadow Racing regain his position. But I am certain Joshua Knott's confidence has been shot after that. And we'll be hoping to gather back up together and have a respectable finish to this sprint race. The pole says, remember, he started in first place. He's now down to 6th position with a 6-second penalty. And so far it looks as though he will lose 6th position to Fossa if Fossa is able to maintain the gap. Meanwhile, Big Red Vigilante, he has skipped all of this chaos. He has jumped to the front of the field. He's sprinted away 4.7 seconds to the good. And it looks like as though I have lost connection. Well, that's not good. What happened there? Okay, I must apologize. It looks like as though the lobby crashed. So, unfortunately, we'll have to deal with this. Be back in a bit. also.
Hola.
Okay, we are back. It looks like the weather has not changed much. So, new lobby. Hopefully this one doesn't crash. And yeah, it looks like as though Imola likes to rain. So LPJVR starting in 3rd position, just behind Toxic Waste and Big Red Vigilante. Big Gun is in 4th place. Darksetter Racing is in 5th place, just ahead of his teammate. Forza in 6th place. Joshua Not, the pole sitter in the sprint race, starting now the main race from 7th place on the grid, just ahead of the 2 Ferraris of names Chef and Doctor who are ahead of the 2 Williams drivers. We were able to be joined by the Doc in the Racing Bulls car, but he will be starting from the back of the grid as he did not participate in the sprint race. And we are but a few minutes away from starting the formation lap. And it is almost time for the engines to be started and for these drivers to get off the grid. To feel these conditions for the 2nd time today, although it looks like it could be a bit wetter than it was in the sprint race. Some of the drivers told me after the sprint race that they were hoping for a dry main race, but, well, one only needs to look outside to see that that wish did not come true. So in terms of tyres, we have Big Red Vigilante taking a bit of a gamble starting on intermediates. That will pay out for him a little bit later on in the race as the track starts to dry out. LPJVR and Toxic Waste and the majority of the field taking the more conservative approach, taking the full weight weather tyres. Of course, named Chef being the only other drivers to take the intermediate. Once again, these drivers will be trying to feel out the conditions and see what sort of grip their tyres are providing them on the formation lap before they pull up to the grid, so that they can have some sort of idea of what grip levels they will have as they dive into T1 and hit their braking markers. And slow the car down well enough for the first apex. The first lap for what is round 5 here at Imola. Tier 3. The first sprint race of the season. We reversed the championship order and threw them onto the starting grid for the sprint. The sprint race provided us with chaos. It was cut short, but the results that we had at the time have set the grid for the main race. And it is once again McLaren out in the front. Green flag in the back. We are about to start. We look to the red lights. We are green in Imola. Decent start for the front row. Looks like Toxic Waste has got the jump on Big Red Vigilante. Yes, he does. RB Man to the lead of the Grand Prix. We have a Haas on the grass further on in the back, as all of these drivers navigate turns 1, 2 and 3. The left, right, left. Going into the Villeneuve chicane. Do we have any challenges near the front of the field? No, we do not. They are going single file into the chicane. A bit of a slide there from Forza in the Mercedes. We have the Haas of Joshua Knott still sliding around, struggling for rear grip, as we have the Doc in the Racing Bulls sliding a bit on the grass, struggling for grip, as the Ferrari of names Jeff looks for the switchback. And will he make the stick into Pitatelli? He's got the inside, he's ahead into the braking zone. And he makes a stick, but he goes, oh, there's Doctor Who, the other Doc, going wide into the grass, losing traction, going wide, struggling to keep control of his car, and he's now being challenged by Joshua Knott. But Dr. Who is able to hang it around the outside and hold on to his position for now. Oh, but he's still struggling for traction, as we see the Haas and the Ferrari, all of them nearly going sideways multiple times, as the Haas has contact with the Ferrari, which in turn needs to contact with the Racing Bulls. The Racing Bulls spins across the track into the second apex of the Variante Alta, into the path of Ohm, as Doctor Who has stopped on the track. I wonder what happened there. Was he given an illegal pass warning by the game, and did he have to slow down rapidly to make sure he did not get a penalty, or is something else wrong with the Doctor? As we see Ohm going deep into the gravel, but out in the front for the top 3 positions we have Timmy Gunn challenging Big Red Vigilante. Big Red Vigilante on those intermediates will be struggling for grip at this stage of the race because the track is at its wettest. But lap after lap, corner after corner, as these cars drive over the tarmac, they'll be scooping up all this water and tossing it to the side, effectively drying the track. So time is limited for Timmy Gunn if he wants to get up into second place and pull a gap to Big Red Vigilante, because this grip advantage will not last forever. And as the track dries, the weight tires will start to overheat, giving even less grip, causing wear to skyrocket. We have a yellow flag further on in the back. Looks like that could have been Ohm 0930 once again. We have Alan Buckingham and Peter 84 in the pits, so perhaps a bit of damage for those 2 drivers. Going up into the Variante Alta, we have Joshua Knott already with a 3-second penalty for track limits once again. So track limits still proving to be extremely difficult to avoid at this track. Forza and Ames Jeff, the 2 intermediate starters further in the back of the field, are still there in 6th and 7th, so they are looking to be in a pretty good position when it comes to the wider picture of the Grand Prix. Alfie JVR still struggling. He's got damage to his front wing, so he kept it very clean in the sprint race, but not quite so much in the main race. Bit of damage there. He will be suffering with understeer, especially in all the right-handers. Camberello chicane as we go to Villeneuve. The Villeneuve chicane The left, right. To Tosa. Hairpin going up the hill. Timmy Gunn performing the switchback on Big Red Vigilante and putting the power down. So much more grip being offered by those weight tires, siding their way through the water a lot more effectively than the intermediates, as we see on the track map that a Haas has gone wide in the Revatsas. We are nearing the end of lap 3 and the current race order is as follows. Toxic Waste leads by 1.9 seconds to Timmy Gunn in the Alpine in second place. Big Red Vigilante, the front runner on the intermediate tyres, is in third place, just 4 tenths behind Timmy Gunn. And behind Big Red Vigilante is Dark Shadow Racing in the Mercedes. Alfie JVL, the championship leader, is in 5th place, but he has damage to his front wing. Forza is in 6th place. Names Chev, 7th place, just 4 tenths behind Forza. Joshua Knott is in 8th place, 3 seconds further back, and the Doc further 2 seconds back in 9th place. Timmy Gunn has left the session. Sorry folks, I'm going to have to send an invite very quickly. Timmy Gunn is still just ahead of Big Red Vigilante. He is currently under AI control, so he'll be going a little bit slower, potentially a little bit slower, but who knows, maybe the AI is a little bit quicker in these weather conditions. You never know what grip hacks Codemasters have coded into their CPU. Another 3-second penalty being handed out to Alan Buckingham. Timmy Gunn has lost a few tenths to Toxic Waste, but he hasn't lost that much time. Is AI going well on those weight tires? And Timmy Gunn's AI has pitted him. That is the biggest disadvantage. The AI was not doing bad on pace, but strategy-wise, well, the AI fully listens to Mark. And anyone who knows what Mark is like as a race engineer knows that you never ever listen to Mark when it comes to strategy. Unfortunately though, the AI obeys without a question to every whim that Mark has. You can already see the track is starting to dry out a bit. Timmy Gunn has been able to join once again. I'm certain he'll be shocked to find that his car is down in 10th place. He'll have to quickly get used to those intermediates and make sure that he does not slide off into the grass, and hopefully find a bit of pace. Intermediates can last a long time, but will they be able to last what is going to be the vast majority of this Grand Prix? Will have to wait and find out. We have the Doc also entering the pits. Presumably also going for intermediate rubber. Big Red Vigilante has caught back up to Toxic Waste. And it definitely does not look like it's raining very hard, so this track will be drying up quite quickly. Could we get to slicks by the end of this race? That would be very interesting to find out. Big Red Vigilante carrying a lot more speed into the apex of Pitatella, then losing out a bit on the exit. Perfectly illustrated by this helicopter camera. Go through Acca Minerale, up the hill, mind the throttle, avoid spinning up the rear tires, and then hit your brakes hard and swing the car to the right, then to the left, over the curbs. Mind the track limits, as Adam Buckingham gets another 3-second penalty. Big Red Vigilante looking to challenge for the lead of this race. He is only 4 tenths behind as we go through the final turn. He is right up behind the diffuser of Toxic Waste Racing Bull's car, and he sets the new fastest lap of 1 minute 31.007 as he goes for the inside, but he gets squeezed out of room and he has to back out of it. Back out around the throttle, or go full throttle onto the grass and risk spinning off into the barriers, as did the 009 Aston Martin at Spa. We have another driver going into the pits, that is LVJVR, also deciding to get rid of the wet tyre, and Joshua Knott is also in the pits, also to pit on the intermediates. This is currently the closest battle on track, and it is for the lead of the race. Toxic Waste on the wet tyre rubber, going quite long compared to some of the other wet tyre starters. Big Red Vigilante is looking very solidly placed right now, although Names Jeff is not too far down the road right now. He's been able to close up a bit. Once again through Rivetta 1 and Rivetta 2, but Toxic Waste has gone very, very wide, touching the gravel, losing traction, and we find ourselves in a very similar position once again, but Toxic Waste makes his way into the pit lane, giving Big Red Vigilante a whole chunk of clean air to enjoy. Now Big Red Vigilante will want to put the hammer down and open up as much of a gap between himself and Names Jeff. He goes very, very deep into turn 1, almost off the track. It almost took the diffuser of Dark Shadow Racing with him. And another feature of Imola is the super long pit lane. You do not want to pit more than you absolutely have to around here. You lose so much time. It's far better to stay out as long as you can, and only have to pit once rather than twice. And if this track dries enough to be slick, to go into slick conditions, Big Red Vigilante could find himself in an excellent position, as he will only have to pit once off the intermediate rubber to the slick rubber, whereas everyone else who started on the weights would have had to make 2 pit stops. But of course, there is always a chance of safety cars. There's this war here on the inside of Piratella. Very easy to spin off into and rip a tyre off. That will almost certainly bring out a safety car if that was to happen. And then again, difficult traction zone here. Easy to spin off into the wall. Dark Shadow Racing into the pits. As Big Red Vigilante has indeed put the hammer down and has set a new fastest lap, setting the timing screens alight. The gap between him and Names Jeff is now 2.4 seconds. LVJVR, the championship leader, we have not talked about him too much so far in this race. Well, he is down in 7th place. I presume he has... No, he has not changed his front wing, but he did manage to set a new fastest lap. So, perhaps there is still grip in the Red Bull. Perhaps as the track starts to dry more and more, LVJVR will get into the rhythm, start to set more and more fastest laps, close the gap back down to the leaders. Names Jeff gets a 3-second penalty for track limits. Let's take a look to see how everyone stands on penalty. So Names Jeff, 3-second penalty. The Doc in 8th with a 3-second penalty. Joshua Knott just behind, also with a 3-second penalty. And Alan Buckingham is the only one with a 6-second penalty, down in 12th. And Peter, 84 Van Niekerk, has a 3-second penalty, down in 13th place, 40 seconds off the leaders. And now it is Names Jeff's turn to set the time screens alight as he looks to close down that gap to Big Red Vigilante and put on a charge of his own for the lead of this race. And a charge it will have to be as he has a 3-second penalty. It is currently very strung out at the front, with only Big Red Vigilante, Names Jeff and Fossa starting on the intermediate tyre. Everyone else has had to make a pit stop, and as such they dropped 18 seconds down on Fossa, as you can see on the timing screens. Excuse me, so Peter 84 Van Niekerk was 1 minute 15 seconds off the leaders. 40 seconds was his interval to the next car in front of him. So here are the gaps to the leaders. So Timmy Gunn, who was there in the top 3 at one stage in the beginning, and Toxic Waste, who was in the lead, is now over 28 seconds behind the leaders, as we just saw an excellent move there from Dark Shadow Racing, who went around the outside of Toxic Waste on the entry into Acca Minerali, making the move stick. Only at the front of the field, they are just handing over fastest laps. Playing past the parcel when it comes to who holds the purple lap to their name. We do have a Williams exiting the pits of Alan Buckingham, and that is also Ohm leaving the pits just in front of Peter 84. Timmy Gunn is in the pits. That is interesting. Ohm went onto hards, so this will be for slicks as well. Timmy Gunn has pitted for the hard tyre compound on lap 11 out of 32. Is the track actually dry enough for this strategy to work? Well, we will find out. Let's watch him as he exits the pits. Doctor Who there, passing him for 8th position. And we now have 21 laps left to go in this race. Big Red Vigilante is coming around to finish off the 11th lap and starts the 12th lap. 3.3 seconds out in the lead of this race. Everything looking very well for him. Seems like as though Timmy Gunn might have disconnected again. Toxic Waste has also entered the pits, also for the slicks. The Dark also enters the pits, also for slicks. This is quite strange because it's still raining, but it does look dry. I must admit, it does look like as though it is dry enough for slicks to be fitted onto the cars. Doctor Who also entering the pits for hard, so everything looks like as though this track was going to dry up very quickly into slick conditions. And if that's the case, then starting on the intermediates was definitely the right call to make, as Big Red Vigilante and Names Jeff and Fossa are all well in the lead of this race, as DRS is now enabled. And it will be very difficult for any of the drivers outside of the top 3 to catch up to the top 3, because they are already 13 seconds plus down on the top 3. As I said, you want to avoid making an extra pit stop at all costs, and well, most of this field have had to make several pit stops already, whereas the top 3 have not yet had to make a single pit stop. We have Toxic Waste and Timmy Gun fighting with each other. DRS is unable. Timmy Gun sets the new fastest lap as he goes up on the inside. DRS open of the RB man. He gets 2 for the price of 1 as he gets Toxic Waste and LVJVR in the senior Red Bull team. But struggling for traction on the exit of the first chicane is Timmy Gun, but he is able to hold on to his position for the Villeneuve chicane. There's still raindrops in the air, but it is looking well for those on slicks, but not for Big Red Vigilante, as Alan Buckingham has DNF'd. Alan Buckingham in the wall. There we can see him there. Looked like he was missing a front tyre. Alan Buckingham crashed into the wall on hard tyres. Cold hard tyres. On greasy, slippery track conditions, and it proved to be all too much for the Williams driver. Big Red Vigilante, I was about to say things were not going well for him because he had a 10-second penalty, but it might work out just fine for him if he was to play this smart. So, Big Red Vigilante has a 10-second penalty. A penalty that can be served under safety car. What do we have right now? A virtual safety car, not a safety car. So, my bad, I did not see that correctly. As we see, also very, very, very slow, as the top 3 have all got drive-through penalties. Forget everything I just said. The top 3, the ones who stayed out on intermediates towards thick conditions, the ones who started on the intermediates, the ones who gained a massive strategic advantage, have all just got themselves drive-through penalties for speeding under VSC conditions. That DNF from Alan Buckingham, I initially thought was perfect for Big Red Vigilante, because I thought it put out a safety car, allowing Big Red Vigilante to serve his 10-second penalty. But no, it was a VSC. And Big Red Vigilante is having to serve his drive-through immediately. Forza goes on. He has yet to come around to be able to serve his own drive-through penalty, and he also elects to serve it immediately. So, who will benefit the most from this? Dark Shadow Racing, the Mercedes driver. I believe this is his first race with Tier 3 for the season. And he sets the new fastest lap as Timmy Gun does so as well behind him. Does Dark Shadow Racing take the lead of this race? No, he does not. Big Red Vigilante still has a big enough gap to come out ahead, but he has a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. All of a sudden, Names Jeff has a chance of winning this. Dark Shadow Racing has a chance of winning this. All because of a number of penalties coming at very, very unfortunate times for all of the top 3 drivers. Forza, who's looking so well in 3rd place, is all the way down in 7th. And now we breathe. We still have 17 laps of this Grand Prix to go. We are not even halfway through it yet. Can you imagine? So we have before us a fight for the lead of this race. A fight for 2nd. A fight for 3rd. A fight for 5th. A fight for 6th. We have fights all the way up and down the field. You're right on board with Toxic Waste, who has a 3-second penalty, but he's right up behind Timmy Gunn and will be looking to make a move here around the outside. It looks like he will be able to make it stick, and Timmy Gunn has disconnected once again. Send out another invite. Lap 16 out of 32, Big Red Vigilante leads, but with a 10-second penalty to his name. Name's Jeff, is the Ferrari behind in second place, just 4.5 seconds down the road. But he also has a 3-second penalty. Behind him, 5 seconds. Further back is Dark Shadow Racing in the Mercedes. It has been an interesting strategic race so far, and Dark Shadow Racing is at a big disadvantage here because he is on the medium tires, not on the hards. So it'll be very difficult for him to take those tires to the end of the race, whereas Big Red Vigilante and Name's Jeff most certainly will be looking at trying to take their hards to the end. Toxic Waste is another driver on the mediums, and he's also at a bit of a disadvantage. The medium tires also like to overheat around Imola, less so of an issue in these colder, damper conditions, as we see Toxic Waste going off the track and almost rejoins into the side pod of Timmy Gunn. Toxic Waste, though, managed to wrestle with the car enough to regain control and prevent that from happening, but has lost the position to Timmy Gunn, who is right back on the charge once again as Alfie JVR has left the session. Lobby instability, the story of the night. And all of this means that Timmy Gunn, who had been disconnected himself just a little bit ago, now finds himself challenging Alfie JVR for 4th place as he dives up the inside into Reverso 1. An opportunistic move, but he makes it stick. And it looks like as though Alfie JVR might lose 2 positions here. And he does, as Toxic Waste takes the position, but goes sideways whilst doing so. Timmy Gunn also dipping a couple of tires into the gravel and bringing some of that sand and dust onto the track. So Big Red Vigilante opening up the gap quite nicely at the front of the field. He might just get away with his 10-second penalty. And indeed, it looks like as though he will. Name's Jeff, though, looking very solidly placed there in second place. He has a 3-second penalty. Dark Shadow Racing has been dropping back consistently, lap after lap, on those medium tires, and they will start to give him less grip than those on the hard tire. Going to bring up the telemetry. Once again, I forgot to bring that up. We have a Haas and a Williams fighting with each other through the Tamburello chicane on the Salt Straight into the Villeneuve chicane. Around the outside goes Peter 84 in the Haas, but he goes off. The Williams behind him follows him off the track as well. So no harm done there to the Haas driver. Hello, Osmond. And nice to see it's Jess in the chat, cheering on the drivers. is getting out of the way, obeying the blue flags for Dark Shadow Racing in the Mercedes. Awesome. Sector 3, that is merely Peter 84 getting out of the way for the front runners. And we see Peter rejoining the track after taking excursion to the grass on the exit of Tosa. And that is Toxic Waste, I believe, also struggling for grip in the rears. All of those running the medium tyre compound struggling a little bit for grip at this stage. Alfie JVR only now has been able to join, but he now has Fossa to deal with as Peter 84 was off the track once again and rejoined almost directly into the path of Fossa, the Mercedes man. Almost certainly Fossa will not be too happy with that situation as he's right up behind Alfie JVR. Alfie JVR will be taking control of his car any moment now. But it looks like as though Fossa might just find his way past the Red Bull driver, and he does. This is currently the closest fight that we have going on track, and it is the fight for 6th position. Oh, and that is Fossa spinning off into the wall. Does he keep it out of the barriers? Yes, he does. No damage to his front and to his front wing, but almost certainly. Oh, 2 cars spun off. That is Ohm and Peter 84. Ackerman and Raleigh, as if there hadn't been enough nasty surprises for Fossa. Ohm and Peter 84 had to make sure that they finished the deal. A handful of nasty surprises for Fossa in the course of just a few corners. He had just got past the championship leader Alfie JVR, proceeded to spin on the exit of Pilatella, managed to keep it out of the wall, but then had to face 2 cars. Spun, pointing the wrong direction on the exit of Ackerman and Raleigh. Oh, that was definitely a Code Brown moment there. Ohm spun around, pointing the wrong direction. And it looks like as though there was a touch between them, between Joshua Knott and Ohm. No damage to Joshua Knott, but it was enough to give Ohm a 10-second penalty. Fossa, so Dark Shadow Racing is trying to make a move here. Dark Shadow Racing on the medium tyres, and he has had to make his way off those tyres as well. Okay, just making sure that Peter's AI was not going to get in the way of Names Jeff there, but it doesn't look like it. But we do currently have Dark Shadow Racing looking to try and make a move here on Joshua Knott, who has decided to exit stage right. So Joshua Knott goes into the gravel as Dark Shadow Racing makes a move on the inside into Rovazzo 1. Alfie JVR made the move on Toxic Waste as well. I did end up missing it, but it looks like it was a simple DRS wave by. Toxic Waste is really struggling with those medium tyres and will have to pit sooner rather than later. So once again, we have seen several drivers making the right strategic call and others making the wrong strategic call. And look at that, it is sunny and dry as Ohm has spun once again on the exit of the Villeneuve chicane. Thankfully stays out of the way and rejoins before spinning once again. You never get a break. Make sure you don't rejoin into the McLaren. That is the race leader. Toxic Waste is in the pits, getting rid of those medium tyres. The Doc gets a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pits. Oh no! Another element of Imola. A very tricky pit lane entrance. It's a straight line, but it always makes you think that you can brake much later than you actually can. It's a little bit like Monza and Bahrain combined. And he will rejoin just behind the race leader, I believe. No, he does not. He blocks the race leader. Oh no. Not the best sight for the McLaren driver. Meet a Racing Bulls driver in the middle of the road, coming slow out of the pits. But thankfully it looks like he did not lose too much time and managed to react in time to the situation and did not get any damage. And we have Ohm now finally into the pits to get rid of those hard tyres and put on some brand new sticky full of grip tyres. Josh Chenard also enters the pits, getting rid of his own hard tyres. Putting on softs. Well, there's still a fair bit to go in this Grand Prix. You'll have to do 7 laps on the soft tyres. They will struggle towards the end. Now we have the uncomfortable situation of having a lapped car stuck behind the leader with more grip and able to do faster times, but having to unlap himself first. Never a comfortable situation to be in. Yellow flag, I believe that's just getting out of the way. So now the moment of truth. Will the dog be able to unlap himself cleanly on the straight with DRS? Well, the dog just got a 3-second penalty there for track limits, but Big Red Vigilante got a significantly better exit and it's already way too far in front for the dog to be able to do anything about unlapping himself. Still shows himself there in the mirrors, cutting across the curb once again. Probably got a track limits warning for that. As we see Big Red Vigilante have a big slide on the exit of the Villeneuve chicane, and the dog dives up the inside. Remember, he is a lapped car. He is allowed to unlap himself, but he must do so in a clean and safe manner without costing the leaders too much time. And currently, he is finding it very difficult to do so as he goes off the track and does a bit of rallycross onto the gravel. Has to bring it back onto the track, but he has lost a lot of time doing so, and it also won't do his tires any good there. And it's a hop skip over the Variante onto chicane, but he is now driving more on the grass and the gravel than on the tarmac at this point, and he is already a full second behind Big Red Vigilante. So lap 28 out of 32, just 4 laps left to go. And Big Red Vigilante is looking very, very strong for first place, although he has a 10-second penalty. He has an 11-second lead over Names Chef, who himself has a 3-second penalty. But even if Names Chef did not have a penalty of any sort, Big Red Vigilante would still win this race, even if only by 1.8 seconds. In third place is Timmy Gunn, a further 11.7 seconds behind Names Chef, also with a 3-second penalty. But he is 5 seconds ahead of Alfie JVR, who's in 4th place, and 12 seconds further behind is Dark Shadow Racing, who has managed to make the pit stop work for him, having pitted an extra time for fresher, newer tires. He has been able to find his way past Fossa, who's having an absolutely horrible time of it on the exit of the Villeneuve chicane. Snaking left, then right, and then left again, all on a straight on the exit of the corner. Those rear tires are done. But they're not Irish. So Forza 14 lap old hard tyres compared to Dark Shadow Racing's 6 lap old tyres. But Big Red Vigilante is also on 15 lap old tyres, and he is 12.2 seconds out in the lead. So once again, Imola, a setup dependent track and a driving style dependent track when it comes to tyre life and how long you're able to make your tyres last. Dark Shadow Racing sets the new fastest lap of 1 minute 18.1. Looking to grab that extra point. The dog has a 19-second penalty. My goodness me. 9 seconds for track limits and 10 seconds for speeding in the pits. Boom, gets a 3-second penalty. We see the dock going off once again, all willing to fill out an application to become a WRC driver and a Formula 1 driver at this stage. He has put so much dirt and grass over those tyres as we have a Ferrari off. That's Names Jeff. Jeff is off. He's had a spin. Names Jeff in the Ferrari, 2nd place, has had a spin, and he has lost a chunk load of time. He's lost 6 seconds to Timmy Gunn in the Alpine behind him, but with just 2 laps to go, Names Chef might just be safe here if he can just simply keep control of the car and keep it on the road. Timmy Gunn now under 4 seconds And also, only 4 seconds behind Demigun is Alfie JVR. So, the battle for third place here, plotting up quite nicely as we enter the final 2 laps of this race, as we have another driver off the track that is once again. The Villeneuve chicane proving to be his kryptonite, but he has the leaders right behind him. Does he get out of the way? Yes, he does. Oh, we have another car in the background. That was a Haas. Joshua Not, I believe. Oh, he gathered back up together very quickly, considering how big of an off that was. We have Doctor Who. He's been lapped by his teammate, and now finds himself catching up to Nameshift at a rapid rate. So it looks like those tires at around 17 laps of age are starting to give up on several different competitors, but Timmy Gunn working some magic on those tires because he's still going strong with 20 lap old hard tires. And Big Red Vigilante starts the final lap. Lap 32 out of 32. He still has the dog stuck behind him in his mirrors, but unable to unlap himself. As the dog once again goes off the track, doing even more rallying. And we see Doctor Who get out of the way of Timmy Gunn, who's now within a second of Nameshift. Nameshift gone! Nameshift has had another spin. I did not catch it on the camera, but he had an off once again, and he's lost the position to Timmy Gunn. So on the final lap, Nameshift has gone from looking secured in second place down to third place, but thankfully it looks like as though that position is indeed secured, as I up the wrong setting. So to show you the penalties, oh, that is Nameshift having a squirm, but Doctor Who going off completely behind him. Bit of a spook there for Doctor Who, who then went properly off the track, and Big Red Vigilante has won this race at a counter. 22 seconds in the lead. He had a 10-second penalty, but it did not matter in the end. He was able to build a big enough of a lead to win in dominant fashion here at the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. Nameshift crosses the line, 3 seconds behind Timmy Gunn, but crucially, LVJVR behind was able to close up to within 3 seconds of Nameshift, so Jeff goes from second down to fourth place in the space of just 2 laps. Darksader Racing finishes in 5th place. A good finish for the Mercedes driver. Did he take home the fastest lap? Yes, he did. Does anyone else take it away from him? Forza crosses the line. 6th place for the second Mercedes driver. Toxic Waste crosses the line in 7th place. So, it was a little bit mundane there towards the end. Not a lot of fighting going on. It was just the different strategies playing out. But then right at the very end, it suddenly came alive. His name's Jeff. Completely lost his tires. His tires no longer giving him the grip that he needed to be able to take the corners of the track without going off and doing a lot of rallying, as the dog was quite kindly demonstrating to us. And all of a sudden, he went from a Ferrari being on the podium in 2nd place to Timmy Gunn being in 2nd place. And then suddenly, we went from the championship leader potentially missing out on the podium the first time this season to suddenly finding himself on the podium. What a crazy race. lot of penalties being handed out by the FIA for track limits, for speeding in the pits, for everything you can imagine. Your race winner, Big Red Vigilante in the McLaren, dominant win. Even with that 10-second penalty, the end results still shown with a lead of 15 seconds at the checkered flag. Alfie JVR rounding out the podium in third. Sandra Jing, Timmy Gunn in second place. Well, that has been it from me tonight for Tier 3. I hope you all have enjoyed. That was definitely the most chaotic race of the season thus far, and I would say a very interesting one. Going from wet weather conditions to dry conditions, and a lot of different strategic elements at play. We had drivers having to manage their tyres to the end. We had some drivers electing to take an extra pit stop and making it work, as Dogsaddle Racing did. And he took home the fastest lap as well, so that's an extra point to the Mercedes driver. And for the first time this season, someone other than Alfie JVR has won a race, and it is I was about to say reserve, but he's not a reserve. Big Red Vigilante, he is a full-time driver for McLaren, but he has not raced for most of the events thus far. And Timmy Gunn also, once again, doing very well despite the numerous disconnections to bring his Alpine home in second place. Well, as I said, I hope you enjoyed that race. I definitely did. And I will catch you next time. Bye-bye.